Alright, welcome back. This is lesson 44, solving proportions using cross products and finding the slope of a line. So your first objective is up here is to use cross products to solve an equation. So example 1 says to solve using cross products. So we need to solve for m using the cross products method. So the first thing is to rewrite the equation using cross products. Well, the very first thing I'm going to do is rewrite the equation they give me. Okay? And we've done cross products before, so we know that cross products means I'm going to multiply across diagonally. So the very first thing I want to do is multiply the number and the variable that I have together. So I'm going to take 25 times m, and that's going to look like this. I'm just going to rewrite that. Okay, I'm taking 25 times m, and then on the other side, I'm going to set that equal to 10 times 15. Okay, and I want you to show that step and write it out. Well, then we're going to go ahead and simplify these. Well, 25 times m is just 25m. And 10 times 15 is 150. Okay, so that's step 1, is to rewrite the equation using cross products. So I've taken this one and rewritten it to look like this by using cross products. Step 2 is to solve it. Well, this is 25 times m. We've done these before, so I'm going to divide by 25 on both sides. And I'm going to get m is equal to 150 divided by 25, which is 6. And m equals, because the 25s cancel out. So m equals 6. Alright, let's go on and talk about slope. Okay, objective 2 is to find the slope of a line. Easy definition for slope is the steepness of a line. Okay, a slope tells you how steep a line is. And there's a note here, we always read our lines from left to right. Okay, well, the way we find slope is called rise over run. Okay? Now a couple things we need to know. The letter m, the variable m, is how we always write slope. That's always associated with slope. Okay, so if I tell you to find the slope of a line, my answer is always going to be m equals something. Okay? Now the rise part, the top part, tells us how do we move along our line. Do we have to go up, or do we have to go down? Okay, so the rise tells me how am I moving this way? How am I moving vertically? Do I go up my line or down my line? Okay, if I go up my line, the rise is going to be a positive number. And if I go down my line, the rise is going to be a negative number. Okay? And then the run is always going to be how do I move to the right? And it's always going to be a positive number. Okay? Now the note up here is very important. It says to read lines left to right. So what you're typically going to have is 2 points that they give you. And I'm always going to start on the left side, and when I talk about slope, I want to know how do I move from the left part of my line to the right part of my line. So if I start at the left of my line, I have to go upward toward the right part. Okay, so my slope is going up on this when I read it. So we picked the 2 points here, and I've shown to get from the point on the left to the point on the right, we go up 5, and then to the right 6. So if I'm going to write my slope, whoops, sorry, erase that. Write my slope of the line, I'm going to write it as rise over run. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to put is the variable m, because that's the one we always put with slope. Then I want you to start writing in, okay? Don't just put m. We're going to put m equals the rise over the run. Okay? And that's equal to, well, my rise here, again, rise tells me, do I move up or down? Well, if I look at the point on the left, I want to know how do I get to the point on the right. So I have to go up 5. So up means I'm going to have a positive number. So I'm going to have positive 5 for my rise. And then over, and then my run is always to the right, so I go up 5, and then I have to go to the right 6, and it's always a positive number, so my bottom number is positive 6. So my slope is up 5 and over 6, or 5/6. So I'm going to write my answer as m equals 5/6 for my slope of this line. Alright, let's go on to another example. Alright, so here we got a note that says lines that go uphill have a positive slope. And again, we read our lines from left to right. So here's your steps to finding the slope. Is to use 2 points from the line. So if they give you a graph, if they give you the graph, use the 2 points they show you. If they just give you 2 points and don't give you a graph with it, then you should graph the 2 points like this, connect them with a line, and then find the slope. Okay, so your steps are to use the 2 points they give you from the line. So the very first thing I'm going to do is to write down my m equals rise over run. Okay, step 2 says to calculate the rise first and put it on top. So my rise is again from the point on the left to the point on the right. So I had to think about to get from here to here, do I go uphill or downhill? Well, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a positive 4. Because again, when we go up, that's a positive number. So my rise is 4. And then my run should always go to the right, and it's always positive, so I'm going to run 1, 2. So my run is 2. Okay, so that was step 3, to put the run on the bottom. Step 4 is to write this in m equals form as a reduced fraction. So I'm going to put m equals, and I'm just going to reduce this number right here. And that reduces to 2 over 1. And yes, I want you to go ahead and put the 1 on the bottom instead of just writing it as 2, because when we talk about slope, we need to make sure we understand what the rise and the run are. So we should always have a top and a bottom number, even if the bottom number is 1. So m equals 2 over 1. This is a positive number, again, because my line goes uphill, so my slope should be positive. Let's go on to another example. Alright, so uphill lines have a positive slope, and downhill lines have a negative slope. Okay, so again, this is a downhill line because it goes downhill from left to right. So, I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did last time. I'm going to start by writing m equals rise over run. Then I need to calculate my rise. So I need to tell how do I get from the point on the left to the point on the right. Well, to go from the point on the left to the point on the right, I have to go down this time. So my rise, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. Okay? And remember, when we go down, that's a negative number, so my rise is negative 3. So I'm going to put that on top of my fraction, negative 3. Over, and then my run, I have to go over 1, 2. So my run is positive 2. Remember, your run is always positive. And now I just need to write this in m equals form as a reduced fraction. So I'm going to put m equals, and 3 and 2 don't simplify. Well, I've got a negative on top and a positive on bottom, so my answer is going to be negative. And it's 3 over 2. Those don't simplify, so I've still got negative 3 over positive 2 for my slope. Okay? Alright, let's go on to another example. Okay, now this example we got two different lines that we want to find the slope of. Okay, so we need to know what happens if we have lines that don't go uphill or downhill. Okay, because if I read this line left to right, I don't go up or down. And this line left to right, well, we don't really travel left to right, so I don't know if I start here and go up or if I start here and go down, because there's no point that's on the left. So we still need to calculate the rise and run of these. So I'm going to put m equals rise over run. Okay, well, my rise, if I go from this point to this point, I have no rise, so my rise is 0. And my run here is 2. Well, 0 over 2. Think about that. What is 0 divided by 2? 0 divided by 2 is 0. So my m is equal to 0 for my slope, because 0 divided by 2. Okay? And this is a horizontal, this is a horizontal line. Okay? And we'll talk about horizontal lines in just a second. We'll tell you something special about all horizontal lines. Let's look at this line over here. This is a vertical line. Okay? Well, again, I'm going to put m equals rise over run. Okay? And we'll just go from the bottom point. So my rise, I go up 1, 2, 3. But once I get up here, I don't run anywhere. I don't go to the right at all. So my run is 0. Well, when the 0 is on the bottom, okay, we can't divide by 0. Okay? There's no way that we can divide by 0 at all. So, this slope is what we call undefined, because we can't divide by 0. Like, I can't take 3 pizzas and split them into 0 pieces. That's impossible. Okay? So, we say that m is undefined here. So again, when 0 is on the top, that's a horizontal line. Okay? And all horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay? And then this line over here is vertical. And all vertical lines means straight up and down. Whoops. All vertical lines, I should say, have slope of undefined. Okay, so again, all lines that look like this right here, horizontal one side to side, have a slope of 0. And all lines that look like this with a straight up and down line, all vertical lines, have a slope of undefined. Okay, that's always the case, because here 0 divided by anything is 0, and over here we can't divide anything by 0, so I get an undefined answer there. And let's go on to one last example. Alright, so up here there's an important note. It says another term for slope is rate of change. So if you see rate of change, that means they're asking you to find the slope. Okay, so let's look at this example. You'll usually see that term in real-world situations. So rate of change is just a real-world name for slope. Example 2 says, Derek drives the highway at a steady rate, noting the time and distance he has traveled. This graph describes the distance Derek travels when driving a constant rate of 50 miles an hour. So he's driving 50 miles an hour all the time. We want to find the average rate of change in miles per hour that Derek drives over these 3 intervals: 0 in 1 hour, 1 hour in 3 hours, and 3 hours in 4 hours. So if we look here, we got our points that we need to use. Okay? So, the average rate of change means to find the slope. So, for the first one, I want to know between 0 and 1 hour. So that's this little spot right here. Okay? Well, again, between 0 and 1 hour, we've got m equals rise over run. And if I look between the 0 and 1 hour, my rise is how far I'm going up. Well, I go up 50. Okay, so my rise is a positive 50. And then I go over 1. So it's 50 over 1. Then, from 1 hour to 3 hours, again we get m equals rise over run. From 1 hour to 3 hours, so that's from here to here, I'm going up 50, 100. Okay, and again, I guess I could show this on our graph here. From here to here, we're going up 100. And then I'm going over 2. So, my rise is 100. And my run is 2. And then, of course, we have to reduce that. And that reduces to 50 over 1. Then from 3 hours to 4 hours, we get m equals rise over run. And from 3 hours to 4 hours, I'm going up 50 again and over 1. Okay, so my average rate of change every single time is 50 miles per 1 hour. Okay, so the average rate of change is 50 miles per hour in each one of those intervals. Alright, if you have any questions, ask. Otherwise, good luck on your homework.